Yeah, well, it's a perfect segue. We do have a guest joining us this evening. He's been on many times on LawCall. We appreciate him joining us again tonight. Attorney Jamie Loris, who focuses on bankruptcy. That's his specialty. And Jamie, if you just want to chime in there to what Bill was talking about, and when people are in a wreck and they have these bills mounting up, how does declaring bankruptcy affect someone's ability to sue?
Well, that's a good question. I appreciate y'all having me on. This is, Bill and I were laughing about this. I remember back in March of 2006 when we first started doing this. So we've been doing this for 15 years. It seems like.
I was 13 years old when we started this back in 2006.
but Bill made a great point. It's very important that you let your if there's a claim sitting there before you file bankruptcy, and more importantly after you file bankruptcy, so your attorney can amend the schedules and add that asset, which is what it is, to your schedule. So anytime you have an asset, you have to have it administered by the bankruptcy court. So it's super important to make sure that the bankruptcy court and your attorney knows that.
Yeah, I bet it gets go ahead, Bill.
Well, I was going to ask Jamie a question. So, Jamie, let's assume that the other side, okay, let's say that you were involved in an automobile accident, but the other side did not have any insurance. And unfortunately, the person that was injured didn't have any uninsured motorist coverage. So that there is no automobile insurance coverage whatsoever. Then, as far as and if you have $100,000 hospital bill, could you theoretically file that with your bankruptcy and be okay that way?
Absolutely, okay. You could, and even after, if you do have insurance and there's subrogation problems, or if you have co-pays that you can't pay or anything like that, you can put those in your Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 and discharge them just like any other debt.
And Andrea, if Jamie mentioned subrogation, and that's a fancy word for who do I have to pay back? As far as if your health insurance company paid something and they paid $15,000 of your medical bills, if you get a recovery from the other side, you're going to have to pay that back. It's not just all waived. And so subrogation, again, is a fancy word for who do I have to pay after my claim is over. And you can't, and that's one reason we preach this, it's like, well, why should I go get a lawyer on a personal injury case if it's clear cut, this and that and whatever? It's because you don't know the rules as to who you may have to pay back. And that's one huge reason. Subrogation, bankruptcy, things of that nature. And always consult with either, somebody like me or Jamie or, bankruptcy lawyer, personal injury lawyer. It could be, whatever lawyer you choose. It doesn't have to be us. But talk to someone before you do something, because otherwise you may be really messing things up.
Yeah, I just want to remind folks our phone lines are open. We are getting some callers that are calling in with some of their questions. And this one comes from Bob. He wants to know, how has COVID affected bankruptcy and debt management? Has it provided any special provisions?
It has. I'm glad Bob called with that question. With the CARES Act that started last March 27th of 2020, there's a foreclosure and eviction moratorium, where the mortgage holders and the landlords can evict them or foreclose on their property. When President Biden came in, they extended it from December of this year of 20 to now it's March 31st. So 60% of the mortgages are government backed. So we've had a lot of success getting these extensions. With the CARES Act also, you can contact your mortgage company and get an automatic 6-month extension. And if you still can't pay it back after 6 months, you can push it to 12 months. So that's the two big things that's going on right now with the CARES Act.
And Jay, we were talking a little bit before the show. Isn't January, I thought historically had been a high month for the number of people who file bankruptcies, but you say because of these extensions, that's actually changed this year.
Well, they have. The last article I read, year to date 2020 with December of 2020 to December of 2019, bankruptcy filings are down about 46% nationwide, and here in Alabama, it's 40%. So, people with the unemployment benefits they got, some people got stimulus checks, and with this, the foreclosure and eviction moratorium, everybody's, doing the best they can. But, right now about 30% of the homeowners are dragging on their house payment. So, sooner or later, you got to start paying the piper a little bit. So, that's going to be something that pops up. And also the other thing is, the people that got unemployment benefits that were getting that extra $600, from the CARES Act, their taxes are coming due April 15th. A lot of people didn't hold back taxes, so they're going to have a tax bite coming to get them also.
And Jamie, you mentioned that people can go to their banks and ask for an extension on their mortgage. Now, when that 6 months or 12 months is up, does the bank expect you to pay that lump sum payment, what you've owed for 6 months, or are you just changing the when you pay off the payoff date?
Yeah, what they're doing with the CARES Act, they can't charge any late fees or penalties, and they're putting the months that you're missing at the end of the loan. So that's when they'll balloon then.
Okay.
And another point I wanted to make, also with the CARES Act, we're able to extend your Chapter 13 payments. Most of our Chapter 13s, we pay back over 36 to 60 months. With the CARES Act, we've got till April 27th of this year to do this. We can actually push your Chapter 13 payments out to 84 months. So, a lot of our clients, their time, their paychecks cut back a little bit. A lot of people have lost their jobs, and we're able to actually, give them a little breathing room by pushing them out from 60 months to 84 months. So, if anybody listens in a current Chapter 13 right now, and they're struggling, they need to contact their bankruptcy attorney, and it's just a simple motion we file. And we can push it out there and give them some breathing room.
All right, we're going to take just a quick break here. If you have a legal question, please give us a call. If you missed a question or want more information, go to erlawfirm.com or visit lawcall.com/mobile to watch clips of this show. We will be right back after this break. Jamie, I'd like to switch lanes here and get back to bankruptcy, and you discussed earlier in the show about there have been some deadline extensions in terms of how it impacts people maybe facing foreclosure. What are some other things that have changed that people might need to keep in mind if they're considering going this route and are considering bankruptcy right now?
And while we're talking about workers' comp injuries, if somebody's in bankruptcy and they have a workers' comp injury, if they handle it right, the settlement from that's 100% exempt in your bankruptcy case. So you get to keep every penny of that. So it's very important that you get your workers' comp attorney involved with your bankruptcy attorney so they handle it properly.
Yeah, and Jamie, a lot of people are facing really tough times right now. If they're considering this option, how does it work? Do they come in with it for a consultation and just kind of lay out their financial difficulties that they're having, and you explain whether bankruptcy is actually a good option for them? How does that work?
We do, and and with the COVID, most of our appointments right now are by telephone, some of them by Zoom. So it's really simple. We get the information to them. They get it back to us. We can do it over the telephone where it's convenient for them. Right now it's just everybody's dragging on their bills, on their credit cards. Unfortunately, even the car payments. There's no CARES Act protection with the car payments, so people are still having their cars repossessed. So it's just important that if they're running behind and they're not paying their bills on time, before the car gets repossessed or they get sued with a credit card and their paychecks being garnished, that's the most important time to come talk to a bankruptcy attorney. And I tell my clients that all the time. One of the biggest things on these consultations is it's telling your client when not to file bankruptcy as well as when they do have to file bankruptcy.
That's right.
You know, a lot of people don't need to file bankruptcy. You know, we can give them advice on other options to look at, but you know, if their paycheck's about to get garnished and they're running behind on the car payments, which you have to have a car to go to work
Right.
and earn a living, you know, it's important to get in there. And like I said, you know, we've been kind
Right.
of dragging a little bit. Everybody's been kind of putting it off because they got the unemployment benefits and they got stimulus checks and with a foreclosure moratorium. But you know, those days are going to stop. I imagine when April and May gets here, it's going to be an explosion
Right.
of people trying to file bankruptcy and put all this stuff behind them.
All right, Jamie.
Yeah.
Jamie, thank you so much for being on our
That's
program this
points.
evening, and we always appreciate you stopping in and giving us some great advice. Jamie, thank you so much. If you have any additional questions for attorney Jamie Loris, you can reach him at 251-432-3100, or you can go online at stopfinancialproblems.com. We'll be right back with more of your questions. Stay with us.